how can I get this to work if I'm just an average person, like sitting here listening to this? I say, that sounds great. I want to get off the beaten path. What are some things I can do? We mentioned going to the library. What are some other ways to like really start doing it, not just talking about it?
Well, agorism, just to kind of like put this out there too, is like the whole kind of, it's like a free market means to a free market end. So it's really trying to build up this kind of underground economy of individuals and use, because we all have economic power to some degree, you know what I mean? But not many people have political power. So a lot of it is trying to solve these huge political problems, but using our economic power as entrepreneurs, as individuals. And it doesn't have to be anything big like you were saying, because it's really like each little individual part from each individual actually is so meaningful. So even just like growing vegetables and trading them, or using Bitcoin, trying to get involved with, cryptocurrencies and alternative currencies, which is kind of a good idea in general, just because of how, they seem to be getting more and more value. But for example, like I cut hair, like I do people's hair and stuff in exchange for Bitcoin. That's agorism. That's revolutionary, even though that's just people think it has to be these big, heroic acts, but really it's little things that add to the underground economy and make that more powerful, making individuals more powerful rather than, the white market, the legal economy, which is, it's how the state maintains control, and obviously the state is the biggest aggressor.
Oh, who's a good boy?
I was hoping that wouldn't happen.
That's fine.
Really, any sort of voluntary exchange, really. There's just these little unregulated trades that seem so minuscule that are actually so powerful, because it gives individuals more power. Even just little side hustles like selling vegetables or cutting hair or making clothes, or I know somebody who makes skin products from like natural ingredients and she sells them, and that's agorism. And like self-education or like alternative medias, just providing different alternatives. It's basically the decentralization of power, the decentralization of anything. We've seen a lot of decentralization in entertainment and in media, but we really need that decentralization of power, I think, is like the kind of the more long-term goal.
Yeah, I can't.
Question.
Oh no. The way I see it is like I can't necessarily affect what's going on in DC, but I can start a podcast with my friend talking about cryptocurrency because I'm into Bitcoin and Dash, and to really change the world, that's how we change the world, one step at a time. Where I say, oh, okay, this sounds great, but how do I do it? Well, I could just call up my friend and say, hey, let's have a basic discussion or do something like this, have a podcast on cryptocurrency and then upload it to YouTube. Or like you're saying, and just say, hey, to my neighbor, do you understand gardening? Do you understand this or that? Or even start a YouTube channel or something to give people information to help them out in an interesting format. When I'm not doing this, I try and do my public speaking channel. I was thinking of cryptocurrency, but even anything, like when I was younger, flea markets are an example, right? Most people can go to a flea market and sell something. Would that be an example? A flea market?
Yeah, of course. That definitely would be a good example. Any kind of like, just voluntary transaction between people, like building up more independence again and more like just empowering individuals. I think that's so important. And like you're saying, like it doesn't have to be a big thing. I mean, if that's what you want, then go for it. But like some people just want to, like, it's really about finding your own passions and then using that. I mean, that's kind of what entrepreneurship is, trying to use that to make a better world. Using that and kind of, instead of trying to fuel the state economy, trying to fuel the kind of more local, not necessarily local, but the underground economy, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and I don't actually see it. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
I was gonna. Keep interrupting each other.
No, you can go.
Is the underground stuff becoming more mainstream? Because I know people now, even people who won't touch computers, they're like, how do I swipe my phone? They're like, Kareem, we need to know what Bitcoin is. They're like, oh, Kareem, what's this about the internet doing this? and then I'm on more of the tech side. But then they're interested, oh, how do you make your own website? How do you do that YouTube stuff? How do you, no one's asked me about gardening because I don't do that yet, but eventually, do you think where it's over here, where you're saying it's maybe underground, like, is coming to the mainstream? And it's not a bad thing. I'm not a hipster saying I have to put on my glasses and go to Starbucks to revolt that, because it actually is working.
Right. I definitely see more and more people using it consciously, because if you think about it, everyone, ever since really the specialization of labor, people have been doing agorism. It's just like the concept of it is new, and kind of like the goal of it, which is really just to start to not have to use force and violence, because that's the problem with the state. It doesn't have much incentive to actually solve problems, because everything it achieves is through force and violence. Whereas in the entrepreneur, because like not only is that violent and hence wrong, but it's actually, there's no feedback system, there's no consequence for if they do good or bad, so therefore there's no incentive for them to provide a good product or a good service. Whereas in entrepreneurship, they have a lot of incentive because they have consequences. There's actually, in the free market, there's a built-in feedback system.
And that's kind of how I work on eBay, Amazon, Fiverr. If you get like, I'm terrified, not to say the least, but like I wake up in the morning and check my phone, people are making fun of me. And I'm saying, oh, if I get like a 1 or 2 star, that can like destroy me. And people are like, that's scary. Why would I want to be involved with that? Because everybody else is held to that standard. So we're all getting at least decent products, or at least people are trying to if they really care about it. I think somebody termed it the folk theorem. But to get like on all of this, if the average person were to start, and we have all these cool people here, we have Dan Sissick, we have Fran, and I've encouraged Dan like, hey, pick up your violin, try this, get on YouTube and do something funny. What are you guys, what are some ways that you think, if you could help the average person, if they said, I lost my job, I can't go to college, I have no alternative to do it the traditional way, what are some ways you could help them make an income or survive? And I want to welcome Sean Sean to the program. He's a good friend and mentor of mine. I don't know if he's on the phone or not, but what do you guys think? I'm at my wit's end. I have no possible way to do things by just getting a traditional job. What should I do? Do I go busk in New York City? What do you think?
I'm not sure, because I mean I've got a lot of things I can do and help people with, but mine's more on the other end of what to do with it when you've made it, being an accountant. I'm an accountant by trade, so I understand that aspect, but I could probably help somebody watch and keep track of what they've earned or income, or what they made or sold, or whatever, however they get paid, so that way they know that they're got enough to cover what they need. And I probably have some other things I could do and throw in there. I just haven't really ever thought of it in those terms. So that's making me think a little.
See, what made me think is when I had these IT contract jobs. Maybe I think you told me you were a contractor a few times too, Dan. I give you a real, and then you lose, and then they say, hey, which has happened to me. I think it's happened to, we don't, thanks for your service, but we don't have enough resources. Then you have to think, is there another way outside of the traditional set where I can do something that can not only benefit people, but maybe I find a hidden talent? And that's kind of what I'm trying to bring out. Like maybe someone will go and say, ooh, I didn't know I was good at hula hooping. I didn't know I was good at making comedy videos on YouTube, or trading cryptocurrencies, or juggling pears, whatever the kids are into these days. So,
look, if you find something you like, or you think you like, or it resonates for you, with the resources that are available via the internet now, there is no reason why you can't make a decision to be the best expert on that as you possibly can be, and work at that every day, and create a place for yourself. It's no limitations.
And that's kind of what I'm trying to do here. That's basically the idea of the Power Hour is everybody here is an expert at something. Maybe I do video. Maybe Dan's an expert at blogging. Maybe James is an expert at health, I call it foods or health products. And by doing that, we can bring all our minds together and then say, hey, I'm the expert at this. I'm the expert at this. How can I use my expertise and my abilities to have the best message? And that could be, hey, I'm going to get Kareem's help.
Of a mastermind group was for someone to come to the table, or all of them to come to the table, and ask a question about something that they're trying to solve in their own business, and use the expertise of these different disciplines in order to find a path. So that's that could be the value here. Is you hear an idea, a marketing idea, or some other solution that you hadn't thought of. Yeah, no, that resonates pretty strongly with me, because somebody could come on to this mastermind, not saying I get someone who's 16 or 17 yet, but someone comes on, they're 16 or 17, and they're like, oh, I've been told at college, because that's what I was told. I was told college, military, tech school. You have to pick one. And then I had friends come back from the military and say, I was in Iraq guarding a truck all day, like 9 hours a day. You have to go to college or else you're screwing me over. And I'm like, okay. And at that point I thought, oh, well, my friends told me, my parents told me, everybody, family members, friends, that's the route I was supposed to go on. And I did. And I can't complain that it was all bad, but what if there was another alternative? And what if I got into a mastermind like this when I was 18, when YouTube was just starting, and then say, hey, maybe I could be a full-time blogger. Maybe I could do what James is doing. Maybe I could do what Sean is doing, maybe, or anybody else. And that's what I'm looking at. If you helps plant the seed and give you ideas, but the reality is it's your passion and your intent when you walk away from this mastermind webinar to actually take some action to do something about it. It's really all in your wheelhouse. Mm-hmm. You have to be the one that has the drive to pursue something and get the information you need to become an expert at it.
Yeah.
Any of us could become an expert at anything if we wanted to put in the time. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. I mean, someone here is an expert probably on like Amy Schumer or Carrot Top, because an expert doesn't mean you have to have like PhDs up to here. It just means you know more than everybody about a given topic in a room. So I spent more time maybe on video, or someone spent more time blogging, then that they have that. And one thing, Regan, that I think is funny about most libertarians in my circle is with the action part, I'll see like, okay, I posted a meme, taxation is theft. What else are you going to do? Like, okay, yeah, it's funny. But when I see like an Instagram thing of just like, goofy memes all day, I'm like, what are you doing for the economy or the world? Are you showing up on camera? Are you talking about any of these things? Are you vetting something? Or I think we should touch upon the action, because so many people are like, oh, I went to a cool mastermind, thumbs up. Woo! What are you going to do now? I don't know, go out to the bar?
Well, for me, we've been talking about the underground economy, and you were talking about a video that you did from somebody around the world. Are you going to pay taxes on the profit you make?
I unfortunately have to, because it's going to go through PayPal, and then PayPal will send me.
So the reality is, as much as we want to do things underground, like barter's another thing.
Yes.
Between two people, where we exchange goods and services. If the government knows that the barter is going on, they want taxes.
Yes. Yeah.
So the reality is that who's got the big stick in this exercise here? Who's got the big stick? As far as if you want to deviate from what the current laws are, and as Regan, she called them the violent something state. What did you describe that as, Regan?
Oh yeah, the violent state.
Yeah. What is an example, for instance? What state do you live in?
Oh, I live in Ohio, but I'm just referring to the state as the like the institution of government.
Your experience in Ohio, where you would exercise your philosophy, what is the state of Ohio doing to you personally that's violent?